Deputy Eamon Gilmore.
Cancórla, we are now coming into the time of the year when the weather gets colder and when families have to spend more money heating their homes. The price of home heating oil is now 26% higher than it was this time last year. One of the factors which has contributed to the increase in the price of home heating oil was the carbon levy, which was introduced by the government in the last budget. Now, the Minister for Finance, when he was introducing that measure in last year's budget, promised that a vouched fuel allowance scheme would be developed to offset the increases for low-income families dependent on such fuel. That vouched fuel allowance scheme has not yet been produced. Secondly, the programme for government had committed to the publication of a fuel poverty strategy by the end of 2009, in keeping with the introduction of the carbon levy. Now, the whole problem of fuel poverty, Taoiseach, is a very real one. The energy regulator tells us that electricity disconnections are now running at a rate of between 2,000 and 2,500 households per month. Bord Gáis tell us that so far this year 4,000 homes have been disconnected. Now, the Labour Party has a motion before the House proposed by Deputy McManus last night addressing this issue and calling on the government to bring in the vouched fuel allowance scheme that was promised in the budget to offset the carbon levy measures for low-income families, and also calling for the publication of the fuel poverty strategy. We were surprised that the government amendment made no mention of either measure when it was circulated last night, and that Minister Ryan, when he was responding to the Labour Party motion last night, made no commitment in relation to either. So I want to ask you this morning, Taoiseach, firstly, when is the vouched fuel allowance scheme that was promised in the budget last year going to be introduced? And secondly, when is the fuel poverty strategy that was promised for the end of 2009 going to be published? Well, that answer from the Taoiseach, first of all, is a dodge and shows no appreciation whatever of the kind of difficulties that people have in meeting their home heating costs. This idea that the vouched fuel allowance was attached only to the introduction of the carbon levy on solid fuels is a completely new excuse by the government for not proceeding with it. Can I give you a way in which this can be done, Taoiseach? We're told that the energy providers, the ESB and Bord Gáis, are required to rebrand themselves. We're told that the cost of the rebranding is going to be €40 million. Now, and that's just for Bord Gáis. Now, I've never heard anything as daft at a time of economic crisis. That money is going to be...
Can we have a question, please?
I'm coming. Not only... Cancórla.
He's imparting information.
Cancórla, not only am I offering a question, I'm offering a solution to the Taoiseach as to how this can be addressed. 40 million. The government is going to spend €40 million putting new nameplates on the ESB, new letterheads, new nameplates for on Bord Gáis, new advertising, new branding, at a time that the country is short of money. Taoiseach, that €40 million would be better spent providing some assistance to those families who can't meet their fuel bills, who are being switched off by the electricity suppliers and by Bord Gáis, who are being charged €200 to be turned off and another €200 to be turned back on again. So that's the solution to it, Taoiseach. Your government made a commitment and a promise in the budget last year that there would be a vouched fuel allowance. It hasn't yet been introduced. Your government made a commitment that there would be a fuel poverty strategy to deal with the needs of families on low incomes that can't afford to heat their homes in winter. You haven't done it, and I'm saying you should do it, and I'm saying that instead of spending the 40 million putting new nameplates outside the ESB offices and on board gas letterheads, that it would be better spent providing for those people who are finding difficulty meeting their fuel costs.